Okay, these are what I call my proof of concept knives. What they are essentially is cheap knockoffs, copies, whatever, of much more expensive blades. Let you get a feel for the design. Now you have to be a little careful because sometimes the weights will be a little different depending on the materials, but for the most part it lets you get an idea of how something is going to work for you before you dish out, you know, $600 for a custom job. For example, this is a copy of a Randall #1, well, maybe a sixth the cost there. Copy of one of Jimmy Lyle's designs, used in the Rambo movies. I got a copy of the SOG Bowie. I got a copy of the oldie Elmar Warrior. This is a copy of the Bob Terzola CQB. Now this one is not really a copy of anything. I picked it up, it was cheap, design looked interesting, and it just is a remarkably comfortable knife. And I don't even know if this is a copy of a more expensive model. If it is, it'd be fine. But it's a good solid blade, it's all full tang, micarta handles, but proved out. This is a copy of the Tom Brown Tracker. Now this was one of the interesting ones because the design is so different. A lot of times you can get an idea of, you know, how a knife's going to feel perform just by looking at it if you've got any experience with different blade designs. This one as a tool was very interesting, but I'm not going to dish out. At the time I think it was around $400 for a Tops Tracker. This one was I think $15, so you can try it out, say I like it. As a matter of fact, I do like it, but not as a replacement for a knife. It's a little heavy for that. As a replacement for a hatchet maybe. And it's got a lot of useful features. Tom Brown takes credit for designing it. As I understand it, there are a couple of custom makers that were building essentially this design prior, and as a matter of fact, it's very similar to an old Soviet Air Force survival tool I saw back in the 70s. But and then I got a couple of folders, and I got one of my folders I can't find, and it was again proof of concept. It was a copy of Ernie Emerson's CQC7, which is an excellent blade. You know, they're very well made. Also very expensive at the time. They were running about $600. I picked up a knockoff for about $2. It had a plastic handle instead of metal and whatnot. But it let me get a feel for the shape of the blade, shape of the handle. I didn't care for it. Now later on, I got a chance to handle a real Emerson CQC. And I found I didn't care for it either, so it would have ended up wasting my money, except maybe as a collector's item. This is a little neck knife. Again, it's very similar to, oh, I can't remember who the original maker was on it. But again, $2. I can see if I like it. And it's actually quite a functional little blade. But like I said, proof of concept. Now this one, this is the Terzola. I think Meyerco is selling his design currently. And boy, this thing is just really nice for a field knife. I'm seriously considering plunking down the $300 for for one of the better ones. But actually, this is again not bad. It's 440 stainless. The design is pretty much spot on. It's got the micarta scales. Just remarkably comfortable blade. Very usable. Weak point on this. These screws. It's got a screw coming in from either side, so obviously the threaded surface is only going to be about half the width of the metal. And what I may do is just replace those with some full-through Chicago screws or rivets or something. And then maybe epoxy the scales on, improve it. This one $15 versus right now about $400 to $600 for an original, but at the time the originals were running about $250. Now here's another one. This one is a little off from the originals. The SOGs have a different feel and balance to them. It's also, I think, a bit bigger than most of the SOG designs. So this one did not prove the concept because it's enough off in balance and feel that you can't tell how the original is going to be from it. The Jimmy Lyle, of course, right after Rambo, his designs were going for about $600. Got this one, I think, for $89. It's not a bad knife, but I don't care for it. The round hilt is very uncomfortable, and you get the weak, any of the hollow handles, they tend to be a little weak. I think Chris Reeve makes some near indestructible ones, but they tend to be heavy. But it was just not a comfortable blade for working with. And it'd be better to get, you know, a more conventional knife and then have a little kit and throw it in your pocket instead. But yeah, it gives you an opportunity to try out the blade design, the hilt, see how it feels, see how it works, especially something like this. And then See, if you really want to plunk down the bucks for the full size, it also gives you a chance to have a bunch of stuff to play with and display just for the hell of it. But this is another one. This is one of my favorite pocket knives. I don't recognize what the inspiration was for this one, what the original manufacturer was. I'm hoping I can run across it somewhere because I would like to get a better quality version of this. This is just a really nice little pocket knife. But again, it's about $3. Construction isn't that great. And it's okay for opening mail and whatnot, but I'd like to get something sturdier. And if I can find the original design like this, I think that'd be slick. But yeah, that's proof of concept blades.